Flex your feet. Press your hands into your thighs, lift your chest up. Drop your shoulders. Draw your elbows back slightly. Press your hands down again. Take a nice deep breath, and as you exhale, your back ribs come towards each other. Your side ribs stretch forward. Your front ribs lift up. You hang the shoulders. Chin slightly lifted. Because when you stretch the spine, remember the spine is also the neck. So the top of your spine is near the base of your skull. So let the base of your skull lift. And let your eyes close for a minute. I can recognize in all the time I've practiced, which is very little compared to the grander time of all human life or just even my life, the ease at which I can take the health I've gained and think it's good enough. And I've gotten a lot of health. I'm not hurting like I could have been or used to, and like that. But it's good to be grateful, but not complacent. My teachers would say there's an unending practice to yoga. But they would also say, don't do these poses, don't worry about that stuff. What they were trying to teach me, I think, that I've come to understand more, that it's not about the dedication just to the asana. The asana is an examination of ourselves, is a looking at ourselves, but the practice is the constant practice of that health or that compassion or that love. So my friends, tonight in practice, let it not just be about the poses and your hamstrings, but recognize that thing that yoga is giving you, that, and let your practice be that. Recognize that you're not just practicing a backward bend or a hip stretch. You're practicing patience. You're practicing discipline. You're practicing dedication. Whatever it is that you need to get more out of your day, to get more out of your life with yourself. Because the poses will come and go. Injury, pain, that might stop you from being able to do forward folds or headstands or backward bends. But getting on your mat and you're practicing dedication or your love or those pieces. To not be complacent that you've gotten just enough love or just enough dedication, but that you're capable of more. Not because it's demanded of you or you have to, but it enriches your life and ultimately the world around you, but it enriches your life to continue to do so, and that you're deserving of that richness. That you, no matter where you are, what you're going through, you are deserving of that dedication or that thing that yoga is giving you or you're getting from your yoga practice when you get on your mat. Just worry about your hamstrings. They're going to change. It's your compassion, your dedication, your discipline. It's forever. Bring the palms together, chest, thumbs touching the sternum. We'll om shortly 3 times and begin. Take a breath. Om. 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 Very good. Salute the essence of yoga inside yourself. Bring your hands into the lap, let the head rise and the eyes open. All right, great. Let's do some work. So come to a standing position. Stand wide on your yoga mat. Have a block or 2 nearby. We're going to move not super fast, but we're going to move through a bunch of standing poses to prep some seated stuff. to stabilize, strengthen the legs. We continue to work on. Nice. Good. Stand 3.5 to 4 foot apart. Remember, none of you are renting those yoga mats by the foot, so use them up. Turn your left toes out, turn your right toes in. If you need a block for Uttahita Trikonasana or side angle, Parsva, or any of those, please put it on the outside of your left foot right now. Good. Turn your right toes in, Micah. Think about it. Arms out wide. When you extend the arms, extend your arms like you're extending your legs. So there's an activation of the muscle of the thigh and the arm. Shift your hips. Left hip shifts towards right hip. So your right hip pulls up high. So you're shifting your pelvis away from the block. So pull your left hip towards your right hip, pop your right hip out to the side, and then reach over your left leg, left side, left arm as far as you can reach with your body, taking your hand to the block. When you stretch your right arm up, become aware of how far it goes behind you, and is there any actual lift and extension to that limb? In your left arm, is it extending down into the block? So with your fingers touching the block, don't knuckle it. Push between the index joint and the first knuckle of the index finger. Push that bone, phalange, down into the block hard as you can, so you engage the inner length of your left arm. And then stretch up through the right arm, do that same muscular action. Just like your legs have to work, let your limbs work. If you feel one arm working really hard, the other 3 limbs should try to work like it. Take a nice deep breath in, bend your left knee so the knee moves above the heel. When you extend the right arm overhead, stretch it in front of your face and then swing it so you stretch the lateral side body as you swing it over. There you go. And then stretch from your side body towards your ribs, ribs towards your armpit, and then from the ribs down to your heel. Take a breath. Let your left buttock flex and come forward. So your left glute is pushing your hips towards the world in front of you. And then again, even though your right arm is super active, is your right leg as active? Even though your left arm is on the block, are you still pushing through that index bone to try and help it learn extension, even though it has weight on it of your upper body? Take a nice deep breath, move the block to the inside of the foot. Take your right hand to the block. Take your left hand on your left knee and twist. Press your left hand into your left knee to help you rotate your left ribs, hip, heart up to the ceiling. So twist your left ribs, shoulder up as high as you can. And then take a breath and stretch your right ribs down. So just like your front ribs are pulling up, move your back ribs towards the floor. Engage both sides of your body to rotate, even if it's only a little or you find resistance. Remember, we're here to change that resistance. You have to go meet it where it is. It might be in the tight hip, it might be in your back. And when you're there, remember that it's not your practice right now is not about the pose, it's what you're getting out of the pose. So if you're holding it, you're being patient with yourself, you're showing dedication to yourself. Good. Take your left arm straight up if you can, and then straighten the left leg. Push through the yoga mat and stretch that right arm for the block. That doesn't mean push your chest down, but flex that bicep, push through that index finger, and then stretch your left index finger higher. So your left arm has to help push that index finger higher. Breathe. Take your left hand down. Keep your left leg straight as you can. Push down through the foot, strong leg. Pick your body up. Turn your left toes in, your right toes out. Good. Couple poses there just to warm up. That side. Turn your left toes in. Arms out. Index finger stretches away from hand, hand stretches from wrist, forearm stretches from elbow, bicep stretches from shoulder. Reach out over the right side of your body, shift both of your hips to the left. There you go. Go long first. Stretch that index finger out farther on that right side, and then take your right hand down when you've gone as far as you can. Press down through that right index finger into the block, so at least the inner part of the arm is engaged. And even though our right side your right arm might be on the block, don't let your body collapse into it. That arm pushes through the ground to lift the chest up, to rotate that right side forward so the left side can go back. Try not just to lay on the arm lazily. Left arm straight up into the air, Miss Glinda, not on your ear yet. Up, up. There you go. Breathe. Bend your right knee, bending it above the heel. We could go into the details of these poses a lot, but we're trying to save time for the other stuff at the end. Flex your right buttock and pull your right buttock forward into the bone as you bend that right knee deeper. Stretch the left arm out in front of you, in front of the face, or so it's in line with your chest, and then swing it overhead. Stretch from your left ribs up through the left hand. Stretch from your left ribs down through your heels. So those two sides of you, or those two halves of you, your upper left half and your lower left half, are stretching away from each other. Take your left hand down, move the block to the inside of your foot. Keep your right knee bent, place your right hand on your right knee, left hand on the block. Begin to twist by pushing that hand into that leg. You start to move against the tight stuff. Stretch the right arm straight up if you can, and then straighten the right leg. Pushing through the yoga mat, make the limb strong, pushing the down through the earth, like you're trying to lift your hip up and away from it. Stretch up through that left index finger, so there is a lift to the rib cage. Stretch up through the right index finger to help rotate. Nice deep breath. Bring the arm down. Try to keep the right leg straight. Bring the body up. Turn your right toes in, turn your left toes out. Turn your right toes in deeper with both hands on your hips. Twist your pelvis and your upper body to the left as much as you can. So you're trying to face the navel, the abdomen over the left thigh. Chest up, lift your spine up. Push your hands into your hips to get some lift to the upper spine, not picking your shoulders up, but pushing through the shoulder to move your chest up and back, and then bend that left knee into warrior one. Don't let your chest come forward. Challenge your chest up, not by sticking your belly out. Take a deep belly breath. Pull your navel back slightly so you're lifting your spine, not from your chest pushing back because that's compression, but take that deep belly breath and think about the lower abdomen pulling back to the spine and up. Stretch both arms straight up. If someone were to come and about 2 inches below your belly button, place the side of their hand, push it back and lift it. That's the, or a strap or something like that. That's the pelvic lift. And then lift your shoulders up nice and high. Lift your rib cage up. There you go. Good, Katie. Nice. Bend that left knee, Micah. Stretch both arms wide. And then rotate your torso towards warrior two. So your upper body is going to twist to the right. So now your chest is now in line with your legs. Yeah, there you go. And again, don't lean towards the left knee. It's easy to lean the spine towards the bent leg. Can you stretch your left ribs up and your right ribs up equally so you're not falling one way or the other? Good, Rebecca, good adjustment. Now your spine's more centered. Bend that left knee, Glenda. And Katie, take a nice deep breath. You're doing good to lift your left ribs. Bring your right hip at the crease where the femur bone inserts into the hip down. Like that. A few more seconds. Bring both hands back to the hip. Straighten your left leg. Turn your upper torso again to face out over the left leg, like we just did with Warrior One. And then fold forward, taking both hands to the floor or onto your blocks, chest to knee pose. Pause for a second, and instead of pushing your weight down into the arms, remember the arms are an active part of this. Push through the fingers so your chest feels the lift, stretching your body long, and then exhale, you bend the elbows to let yourself come down. But you never lose that front opening action. Breathe. Recognize as this gets challenging, what's the language you use for yourself? Because that's what you're going to practice with yourself. If you tell yourself, I can't, or I'm not, that's what's going to be true. That's not practicing yoga. I've never read a yoga text or worked with a good teacher that taught by telling people what they are not. That's not yoga or a teacher's business. It's all about discovery, the freedom, the safety to do so. A few more deep breaths. Bring your body up. Turn your left toes in, turn your right toes out. Hands on the hips, rotate the torso to the right. Rotating your hips around. And again, take that nice deep breath. Try not to lean the chest forward, but don't push your chest back and into your spine. Take that deep belly breath. Pull the core muscles back and lift them, and then bend the right knee. Good. If you can, take the arms up. Stretch the arms wide, rotate the body to the left. So you're rotating from Warrior One to Warrior Two. Roll your left hip back, keep the right knee bent as you rotate. Remember that bent knee is a strong point, so the femur bone lets the hip roll around it. So roll your left thigh back, your left hip back. And again, stretch each side of your rib cage up away from the legs so you're not leaning towards the right side. Nice warrior twos. Take a few breaths, lift each rib cage up. Let your hips come down and forward slightly. So it's not you tucking the tailbone, but you're pressing the glute, the upper muscle forward. There you go. So the thighs have to resist against it. They have to rotate. Good. Hands on the hips. Straighten the right leg. Turn your torso towards the right leg again. And then exhale, fold forward, chest to knee. Great. Remember, arms are not just passive. You're not just hanging your body weight on them. Pushing through the fingers so the front chest lifts, extends, and then bend the elbows to let your body come down any degree. Exhale, bring your body up. Very good. Turn both sets of toes forward, fold forward, taking both hands onto the floor in front of you, standing straddle stretch, Kusita Padottanasana. Take a look at your feet. Everybody push down through your heels. Pivot on each heel, turning each foot in deeper to twist the femur bone into the hips a little deeper. Don't worry about going down until your legs are set. Your spine will drop when your legs hold you. Go onto your fingertips as you twist those thighs in to try and get each kneecap to point forward. If you don't know what that is, you can look at your own kneecaps, and one might be turned out, one might be turned in. Try not to let your body weight rest totally in the hands. Go to your fingertips and walk your hands back so they're more in line with the feet. So your legs have to do the work of holding your body up, as in your pelvis. Then bend your elbows and let your spine come down. Don't have to push it. Let gravity help you. Find some breath. Place both hands on your hips if you can. Push down through the legs. Bring your body up. Tuck your hips as you swing your body up. Nice. I love everybody. Great. Bring your feet together. Grab a blanket if you need something under your knees for softness. You can also use a bolster. Place your bolster on your back in the middle of your mat or your blankets, either one, and then kneel on it with both knees. So you have some more mat to your left and right side. Just have some support. So once both knees are on the blanket or bolster, whichever you like, your hips are above your knees, so you're not sitting back on your heels. Thank you, Rebecca. Moving the camera there. Good. So Knees on the bolster, or knees on the blanket bolster, spine up. Take your right leg and stretch it out to your right side. So your toes are kind of pointing out slightly. Not behind you, Glenda, to your right. So out towards your couch. You're correct, Rebecca. So 2 seconds, I'll show you. If you're confused, from kneeling, right leg out to the side, not behind you. Spine up, Glenda. There you go. This is why Tristan is a great thing to have. Stretch your arms out like you're going to do Utthita, Trikonasana. Push down through your left thigh, not to shift your hips, but just to keep your left leg hip stable. Stretch over your right leg as far as you can reach with the body. You may not go far. And then take your right hand to the block. Take your left hand behind you to your left sacral plate, to the side of your sacral plate. Left hand onto your left sacral plate, so your elbow bends. Now, you should be trying to take the sole of your right foot flat to the floor. So you're not pushing just into the heel, but trying to take the toes down and every other part. Right hand can be on the right thigh, shin, or on a block on the outside of the foot or on the outside of the leg. Slide your hand down a little bit as you push your left knee harder into the floor. So you create the swing gate action. Nice lateral opener. The right hip does stick back behind you a little. That's normal. This is not about keeping the pelvis perfectly even. So let your right hip go back a little. So it's like your bone is pushing towards the inner part of your right buttock. There you go. Like that, Micah. Yes. Take a breath. So this is the lateral action. There's a twisted action to this also. Take your left hand towards your right hand. So your left hand should grab, if your left hand can grab your right wrist, that's a good place to be. Yes, Glenda, right? Left hand grabs right wrist. Take a deep breath, bend your left elbow and twist, pulling on that right hand, that right wrist, and roll your ribs up to the ceiling like you're trying to get your head between your arms again. Left ribs up, Rebecca, not right ribs. There you go. But all the while still holding on to that action. It's very challenging to do, actually. All right, come on up. We'll do the other side. I'll show you what it looks like after you all play with a little bit. Switch your legs, right knee bent, knee on the pad, left leg out. Yep. Stretch your left leg out to the left. If you need a block for your hand or anything like that, now's the time to get it. Arms out, stretch out over the left leg. Take your left hand onto the thigh, shin, foot, ankle, wherever you can get your lateral body to. For those of us that have like really tight lower back and start to ask the bottom 10 vertebrae to really flex and move, this pose can be very good for that. It can also be really challenging. Take your right hand to your sacral plate. We're not worried about the arm extending right now. Take your right hand, grab your left wrist, forearm, some part of it. Bend the right elbow, pull up, and then twist, trying to roll your right ribs up, but pull the head comes through the hole of the arms. Right elbow up in the sky, Glenda. Like that. Keep pulling. Nope, hand holds on to the other arm. That. That's it. There you go. You're getting it. Roll your right ribs to the ceiling, Rebecca, as best you can. That is the challenging part of it. There you go, Micah. That's the challenging part of this pose, is to make it a lateral stretch and twist. All right, exhale, come on up. I'll show you briefly real quick what you're working towards, because we're going to come back to it. So from here, when your leg's out, when you stretch, hand reaches. That may take a while, but that extension and that twist is what stretches the lateral back all the way up to the armpit, is that ability to pull and rotate over time. That happens. That will come the more you do the pose, when your low back gets more mobile.
Is our foot supposed to be pointed forward or to the side?
So when your foot's in the position, the foot is not, it's at an angle. It's pointing towards, like, it's not here and it's not here. It's kind of in the middle, like that. This is impossible. This is a different pose. It's in the middle. All right, let's do each side again real quick. Come to your knees. I'm going to do small classes like this. I'm just going to let people ask a bunch of questions all the time. On the knee, stretch your right leg out to the right. Arms out. Shift your hips. Your right hip come back into the left, and then reach down your right leg. Then, right, so everyone's got part one. Awesome. Practice here, just take your left hand to your lower back and twist your left ribs up to the ceiling. Practice the twist that has to happen for your spine to get the full extension over time. All the while, trying to move, fold at that right hip, sliding your hand and your spine down your leg. Yeah, like that, Mike. It's not a rigid pose. It's a kind of a bendy thing. You got to bend. This is not about rigidity. Being safe and strong and stable is not about being rigid. All right. Now take your left hand to your right hand. Yeah. Then pull with the left hand, bend the elbow up. And then the best you can try to do is to draw your spine down the leg and then pull your right ribs under. There you go. Nice. Take a breath. Up you come. Much better. All right. Now do the other leg. Right leg in, left leg out. I always say, when you want to work on a pose and you're not comfortable with, do it at least 3 times. The first time you learn it, the second time you do it, the third time you really make it your pose. Stretch your left leg out. Arms out. Shift your left hip towards the back and right, and then slide your hand down the leg. Right hand on your low back, and then try to twist and then slide your spine down. Let your body extend down the leg. So Miss Rebecca, lean back a bunch. There you go. So it's not about your chest coming down to the floor, friend. It's about you keeping your ribs more in line with your left thigh bone. So there'll be some challenge in your back and hips for that. All right, right hand to left wrist, forearm. Pull, rotate, best you can. Rotating your right ribs up. There you go, Glenda, keep doing it. That resistance of that left arm holding the right is what creates a lot of the stretch to the back body. The tight muscles of our upper back are connected to the lower in this way, and so we're creating a lateral extension. And we're moving the spine in a curve, which is, you know, for most of us, unless you have scoliosis like right really bad, safe. Take a couple more breaths. All right, up you come. Have a seat on the floor. Stretch both legs out in front of you. Janu Sirsasana, or Dandasana to start. Then we'll do Janu. With both legs in front, bend your right knee, pull your right heel toward your inner left thigh. If you cannot touch your toes of the front leg easily, let your right knee fall to the side, Rebecca. There you go, Janu, there you go. If you cannot reach your left foot comfortably, grab your strap. But on an exhale, fold forward, take both hands, strap or hands grab the foot. Glenda, the foot is not up on the thigh, it's touching the inner thigh. There you go. Make your life a little easier. So here's what I'm going to ask is not to pull your chest down. Lift your chest up nice and tall, stretch your spine long. Now bend your elbows slightly out. So as you pull on that foot, bend your elbows wide to feel your upper back move by the lateral muscles from your shoulder blade, armpit, deltoid down to your ribs. Flex slightly. That's how you engage your upper back to better extension. It will also make your leg work harder. Push your foot against your hands. If your elbows are bending, pulling your foot back, your foot pushes against the hand to create some level of resistance. Because forward folds are about the front body extending, but the back body stretching over that. So the more stretch forward you want from here, first, push the right foot hard into the floor, not your knee down, but flex your right thigh. If you were in class Tuesday, you got a whole host of that. And that was, Tristan said, really, really good hip work. So go look it up on YouTube. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. Push the right foot down, bend those elbows out wide so that your right foot is doing twice as much work as your left leg. So that right hip has to twist. Breathe. Exhale, up you come, switch your feet. So when you switch legs, pull the opposite leg back, reach forward for the foot. I don't want to super detail this pose out, just to start getting us moving that way. Good. Again, it's not about going super deep down. Arms are nice and long, pick your chest up nice and high, bend your elbows so you feel the upper back muscles widen and get engaged. Because I promise you, if your upper back muscles are not helping you in forward folds, all that happens is your lower back makes up for it. Good. The more stretch forward you want, first push the left foot harder into the floor, not to push your knee down. Your knee may even lift up, but your left thigh must flex to push that foot down, and then bend your elbows for whatever level of stretch you're looking to kind of play with right now. All right, exhale, up you come. Switch your legs. So take your bent knee and now place the foot on top of the thigh. So going from Janu to Ardha Baddha Padma Paschimottanasana. Do not flex your foot, point your right foot. And really it's about, can you bring the pinky toe side of the foot close to the crease of the hip? If you cannot, that's okay, but don't just lay your ankle on top of the thigh bone. Move it to the slight right. This is going to be a big change for some of you who've worked with me in the past. The ankle bone pressing on the thigh is all good and well, but for purposes tonight, you want more of the pinky toe side of the foot on the thigh, not the ankle. Because eventually you want that foot to roll so the sole of the foot turns up. The ankle will lock it in place. So the pinky toe side of the foot will help turn the roll. Stretch forward, reach for your foot. If you can't reach it, you strap it. And then already notice the difference because this hip and leg is more engaged. how much your chest is down. Lift your chest up nice and long. Try to train extension first before you put force into it, right? Tuesday's class talked about that. Force only really matters. Force doesn't really help you learn. All right. Push your right foot into your left thigh, not by pushing your right knee down, but flex that right thigh like you're trying to crease your thigh with that knife edge of the foot, and then bend your elbows a little bit so you feel, again, the shoulder blades widen, the upper back stretches over the front a little. The hamstring might scream, hips might crank, might cramp. We'll learn. All right, up you come, switch legs. Again, the pinky toe side of the foot, the closer you bring that edge of the foot into the hip crease, great. Don't, force the knee. And the ankle is going to lay more to the inner thigh. Stretch forward, grab a hold of the foot. Again, go for the stretch of the front side of the body, spine long. Don't just immediately go for depth of stretch. Then push your foot against your hand, push your foot into your thigh firmly, top foot into the bottom thigh, and then bend your elbows wide. That will engage your upper back to help draw the stretch instead of your back muscles compressing down on the spine. And then breathe. Go what you're going through. But remember, even if it's hard, you're still creating something different. I wouldn't want to be in an oven with a cake baking, but I'm sure going to be there for the end of it. The end result is better, even though it's hot during the process of. All right, exhale, come on up. If you have very tight ankles, you might need a block. But if you can, sit back in Dandasana. If you have very tight ankles and you cannot sit in hero pose comfortably, have a block nearby. But again, sit on the hips, legs out in front of you in Dandasana. So, Trianga Mukha Kapada Paschimottanasana is a fun one. So with both legs out in front, bend your right knee, and then you're going to pull your foot back into hero pose. So the top of the foot is flat to the floor alongside your hip. But then your knees are still touching. So if your right knee is like off to the right, you got to pull it back in front of you. And now if your right hip is a half a mile off the floor, you need to put something under your hips to get them even. So if you got like a little bit of height, like your right hip's only a tiny bit up, you can put like a blanket under your left hip, or you can sit on a block for both. But both hips need to have some contact for right now. It won't be perfectly even, but there should be some balance of that right-left hip combo. There you go. Nice. For some of us, just getting to this pose, this is a lot of stretch. This confuses our pelvis a lot. Our right leg in this position is a backward bend. So you're telling half of your body you should be falling this way. The front leg is for a forward fold. You should be falling that way. So you're confusing your muscle sets for most symmetrical poses. We do not go backwards in this pose. We go forwards in this pose. Trianga Mukha Kapada Paschimottanasana is a forward extension. If you can, reach forward, grab a hold of your foot. And this can feel like the hardest forward fold because half your body is in this very different piece. So as you stretch forward, Use a strap. Don't fight your ego on this. There's a lot of other stuff to stretch and move. Hold on to the foot or strap and lift your spine long. And then the same action. You go down first by pressing your right foot harder into the floor. Really flex that thigh and drive that foot down. And then bend your elbows to move any degree. And for some of us, you go from like right up to like half an inch forward and your hip cramps and your hamstring screams. You know, feels like a war crime on your own body. I get it. This pose is hard for me sometimes. There's a lot of hip stuff and lower back stuff happening. Because of the deep bend of your knee and the stretch of your ankle, this pose really shifts how the whole body does a forward fold. Be aware that when you go forward even a little bit, how it's easy to be able to lose the action of the right leg. It's easy just to lean everything into the left hip, left spine. Push your right foot down so your right side has some power in the movement. So again, it's not one half of your back working, but it's your right leg helping extend the action forward. All right, sit up. Stretch your right leg out in front of you. Then pull your left foot back. So as the top of your foot comes to the floor, remember, it's not the foot turned out to the side. It is the top flat. And if your foot's cramping and your ankle can't take it, you got to sit up on something. All right. Take a minute, bring the thighs together if you can. Then when you're ready, reach forward, grab the foot or your strap. Then push the left foot down. Push your left knee down so that thigh is strong. And then bend your elbows wide to draw your upper body into the extension of the pose. It's not just about curling your upper body down, but extending your upper body over, especially your upper back body. Take a few breaths. Just kind of see what's inside that hip, see what's inside that hamstring, your back. Flex that left thigh, please. All right, take a nice deep breath in, exhale, up you come. All right, stretch both legs in front of you again. Back to Dandasana. Remember, Dandasana is both thighs together, spine lifted, thighs pressing down into the floor, heels pressing down into the floor more than your thighs. Not to lean back, but to lift up. Bend your both knees, slide your right foot under your right thigh so the heel touches the inner right thigh, kind of under the thigh area. So the knees is slightly bent. Left foot comes on. I'm sorry, I probably said something weird there. Bend both knees, slide your left foot under your right thigh. I got overly complicated for no reason. Welcome to 2020. Reach forward, grab your right foot, and pick your right foot up in front of you, the height of that right knee. So Crouchasana is an extensory pose. Bend your right knee to pick it up, Rebecca. Like this, dear. Knee bent. There you go. Take a moment and press your left foot harder into the floor. Make that foot and your hips do all the work of this pose. Both hands hold the right foot, push your foot against the hand, lift your spine up, bend your elbows. Already bend the elbows to draw the upper body forward, and then you push the foot against the hand to get it straight at all. But it's really how much of that elbow bend forward chest motion can you keep, and then push the foot against the hand, not by the knee, but point the toes like you're throttling a gas pedal to make that thigh hamstring work. Good, Katie, very good. Better, Rebecca. And now, Micah, bend your elbows, bud. Even if you don't go forward much, your upper back is lifting and moving into it. Nice. Everyone breathe. Crouchasana. Work your left foot into the floor so your left thigh hip helps stabilize. They help stabilize the pose. Bring your leg down, switch your feet, right foot under left thigh now. Right foot under left thigh, grab a hold of the left foot with both hands. As you pick the foot up, push your right foot into the floor first. Not trying to push your right knee down, but the more you push your foot down, even if your knee floats, that will help engage the thigh muscle, which will help your hip, and over time give range of motion to your spine, the lower spine specifically. Good. Bend your elbows so you draw your chest and upper back into it, and then push your foot against your hand to get the lift. Strong foot pushes on the gas pedal of your hands. So it's not from your knee pushing through your foot. I hope you don't drive your car like that, but you just kind of flex that foot at the ankle and push those 5 joints through. Very nice. Bend your elbows regardless of your position, so your upper back is wide and forward. Take a nice breath, let the leg go. Stretch both legs wide. Uttanasana Konasana. If you cannot reach both of your big toes with each hand, grab a strap till you can. But if you can grab those big toes, grab those big toes. Then pause. Take a look at your knees first. If your knees are floating up off the floor, that's fine. I'm not worried about that. But try to not push your knee down. Push your heels down under your toes harder into the floor. So you feel your thigh and hamstring kind of wake up a little bit. Your knees may even float a little higher. That's fine. And then holding onto your big toes for dear life with your index middle finger, bend your elbows wide. Just even a hair like that. They're going to pull back and out. So your upper back is flexed. There you go. Good, Micah. Push your heels down. Work your elbows. Nice. Even though your chest may come down, look forward and up with the head. So remember, the spine goes all the way to the base of the skull. So just hanging your head makes your spine end here at the base of your neck. That's why we get neck pain. Lift it. Don't be afraid to look up, Katie. There you go, Glenda. Oh, I see you all on camera. It's so great. Go to yoga class. Everyone does this. Stretch your spine from the tailbone up to the base of your skull. Lift the base of your skull to help flex your upper back as your elbows bend. Push your heels down and breathe. Take a nice deep breath. Bring your body up, lay back. I'm not going to say congratulations, you made it. You may not get out of Savasana. You know, if I'm going to go, it's in Savasana. All right, stretch your body out. Let your eyes close. Lots of things come up in yoga class. Even in the hard parts, the sad parts, the confusing parts, I found stability, comfort, and a sense of confidence. I used to tell myself, even in the hardest parts of yoga poses, and I still do, if I can get through this, I can get through anything. If I can ask my body to move this way so I can be healthy, I can handle anything the world throws at me. I used to say that a lot, and what I was really trying to get to, I think, and where I am now is, if I can get through this, if I can show myself that I'm worth this much work, I can get through anything the world shows at me, because the things I believe in will be worth the work. I had to learn to practice a lot of things with myself before I knew how to do them in the world or in relationship or business. So, my friends, as you rest for just the next minute or so, recognize that you practiced something. Yoga, of course, but what is it inside your practice that you're really trying to show yourself? And can, for a moment, even though you may not totally believe it, can you just tell yourself you got it? Can you give yourself permission to say, I got a little more confident. I went through the trial. I got a little more happy because I did my mat time. Tell yourself that and see how it fits. And if it doesn't ring true, pick something else and tell yourself. Because you have to experiment. You have to find that thing that you're looking for. It may not be what you started looking for. So many good journeys are like that. Rest, my friends, for the next minute or two and enjoy the fruits of your yogic practice.